Thank you and good afternoon. This is Sam Vaughan for Sam's Sports Report. Today we're going to talk about the Eagles Push Tush to start the show, and then we'll get into college football and a little bit of Chiefs news. Here we go. The Eagles run a push tush, or whatever you want to call it, push butt, push whatever, where the quarterback Jalen Hurts runs up the middle. A couple of reasons this works, and it seems like every time they get the first down. Number one, because Jalen Hurts can squat 600 pounds. 95 to 99% of people can't even bench that much, which squatting looks even harder to me from just the naked eye. Nobody can get lower than Travis Kelce's brother, Jason Kelce, and they have a great line including Lane Johnson and other good players. Lane Johnson can move the rusher. Kelce can move the defensive tackle or rusher. Who's ever coming over there, Lane Johnson and Jason Kelce can pretty much stop. In fact, last week they were 4 of 4 and did it in their own territory. So it seems like the play for reference works 99% of the time. At one time, this play used to be illegal, but it changed, and most people wanted to go back to illegal except the Eagles fans. Is it quarterback safety, or is it just unfair because the Eagles can do it better? My thinking is, how about the refs vote on it, and hopefully we don't have a team bias. You know why fans don't like it? Is because it works for the Eagles. It's just a little quarterback sneak with a boost from behind it from the Eagles and a push and shove. But everybody else does it, but they just can't do it as well as the Eagles. 5-time All-Pro center, which is a top player in the league for their position. I have mixed feelings about the thought of changing the rule. Here's the other thing. Certain plays on the Chiefs, I'm sure that they did not like that they do. But I think the Chiefs are pretty even keel what they do on offense. I mean, just that they have the better quarterback in Patrick Mahomes and probably a better play caller than almost anybody. Andy Reid. But the players get in trouble a lot, which is waiting until due process. For example, Justin Ross, Willie Gay, and also early in his career, Tyreek Hill had a little bit of legal issues, even though he turned out he was not guilty. Justin Ross, who just now Charles Amini, who had a misdemeanor in domestic violence, and he was suspended for 6 games. So something they could say is that the players get arrested too much on the Chiefs, or that's what good teams do. They're having some type of jealousy. Let's go over some baseball. Tonight is the World Series, and then we'll get to college football. First, baseball. The World Series will start tonight with two. That's for the first time in 11 years ago when the Royals and Giants played in the World Series. The Diamondbacks, the comeback kids. The Rangers are the only team that have won all their road games in a series. It's only happened one at a time. Corbin Carroll has been the bright spot on the Diamondbacks, hitting .270, .250 in 11 postseason games. He has 7 of those hits, including multiple hits. Carroll has blasted a pair of home runs, including a 2-for-5 performance, an 11-2 win over the Dodgers in Game 1 of the NLDS. During the regular season, he hit .285, 30 doubles, and 25 homers and 76 RBIs in 16. Ketel Marte was the best player on the team in the regular season. Carl Marte was one of the best players on the regular season. He had 276 with 94 runs and 82 RBIs. Also, Lourdes Gurriel had 82 RBIs. Christian Walker had the best season with a 258 average, but had not in 103. So behind all that, that was their best players of the regular season and the postseason. Aroldis Garcia was the best player in the postseason. Outstanding numbers: 10 for 28, 7 runs scored, 15 RBIs. He was also one of the best in the regular season. At least one home run in each of the game. Corey Seager was the best player. Was one of the best players in the postseason. Has been in the regular season, and also Marcus Semien. Starting pitchers for tonight will be Zach Glenn, who has struggled mightily in his first 4 starts, but is 2-2, has an ERA at 5.26 in the regular season. He was much better with a 3.47 ERA and 17-9. Nathan Olivetti has a great postseason 4-0 with a 2.42 in his career, also 2.82, so very good postseason. He also had a very good regular season with a 3.63 ERA and 12-6 in the regular season. Game time tonight is at 6:03. Now we move on to college football. In a lopsided game, Kansas will play Oklahoma. And honestly, they have the best chance against Texas, who will play Kansas State next week. Mizzou will play Georgia, and Georgia is the best teams of those teams. I think Oklahoma is the worst, and then Texas and Kansas State. Then Texas, then obviously Georgia is the best. But Texas will be at Texas, and that's why I give Kansas the best chance to beat one of the Oklahoma. Not because I think Kansas is a better team. They're not. Mizzou is probably the best since they beat Kansas State, and Kansas isn't ranked, neither is K-State, and they've lost 2 of 3 KU, but Kansas is at home, and I think Oklahoma is the worst of those teams, but Texas did lose to Oklahoma, and obviously we said as Mizzou plays the toughest team, but then remember, Mizzou and Kansas State have both of their quarterbacks in that game. That'll be next week for both of these teams. These teams are on bye, Kansas State and Missouri. For the key matchup of Kansas, we look at Peyton Bowers for the Hawks and Devin Phillips for the defensive line. For Oklahoma, Jason Bean and Jalen Daniels. Jason Bean has played most of the way since Jalen Daniels has gotten hurt. KU could redshirt them, or when he gets healthy, it will be hard for KU to miss that opportunity to play him. That's what some people think. The Oklahoma quarterback has had a very strong years. He has had 19 touchdowns and 3 picks. The Oklahoma quarterback is Gabriel. Kansas will play at home. OU is favored by 9. Kansas State will play Houston. Kansas State will play Houston before they play Texas next week. And when they play Houston, key players, Sam Vaughan is a player to watch out for Houston. Receiver for Houston University. Player to watch out for Kansas State, DJ Guidance. Cooper Brebe to watch out, guard, Kansas State. Jake Freeman, offensive tackle. Quarterbacks will be, for the Cats, will be Will Howard and Avery Johnson to split. Johnson was the wide receiver last time, and quarterback was Will Howard. It'd be interesting to see if they lined up at different positions. Avery Johnson's the fastest of those players who played wide receiver. That was intriguing last year, and to see Will Howard and him on the field at the same time. Kick is at 11. After the starting quarterback for Utah got hurt. Player to watch out for: Kieran Jackson, cornerback, and Britton Allen, also cornerback. That's the only top 25 matchup. Now we'll go through Notre Dame before we go through the rest of the top 25. Notre Dame will play Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is 2-5. Notre Dame is 6-2. Last week had the bye. Before that, they came off the biggest winning season where they blew out USC 14, and will play Pittsburgh, like we mentioned. Kickoff is on 2:30 on NBC. Players to watch out for: Sam Hartman for Notre Dame, and the quarterback for Pittsburgh is who we just mentioned. And the quarterback for Pittsburgh is Phil Djokovic. He only has 6 touchdowns and 3 picks. MJ DeVaseur is a pro player for Pittsburgh, which was only like 2 players, so he is a cornerback. The best player for Notre Dame is Xavier Watts. He is another backfield player. Should watch out for him. At the safety position, game time is again at 2:30. Now we go through the rest of the top 25 games. Florida State will play Wake Forest. Wake Forest at home, but ABC, Florida State favored by 20.5. Georgia and Florida. Florida is 5-2. Georgia is 7-0 though. CBS 14.5. Georgia. Florida at home though. BYU, Texas. Texas by 19. BYU 5-2. Texas 6-1 and number 7. Oregon, Utah. Oregon number 8 at 6-1. Utah number 13 at 6-1. Oregon favored on the road though by 6.5. Notre Dame and Pittsburgh. Notre Dame to host. We talked about that. 20.5 is a line. Duke, Louisville. Duke is 20-5-2. Louisville is 6-1 at home. 4.5 is a line for Louisville. Tulane and Rice. Tulane is 6-1 and 22. Rice is 4-3, but Tulane is favored by 10.5 on the road. USC 6-4, California 3-4. California at home, but USC number 24 favored by 10.5. Washington and Stanford. Washington is 5. Stanford is unranked and 2-5. Washington favored by 26.5. Fox Sports 1, 6 o'clock. Colorado State 3-4 has dropped back to some normalcy. Air Force 7-0. 6 o'clock, 13. Colorado State has dropped to 3-4. Air Force is 7-0. Air Force by 13. Kick time is 6. 21. Tennessee versus Kentucky. 3.5 is a line. Kentucky was at one time ranked, not very long ago. 6 p.m. ESPN. Ohio State 7-0, Wisconsin 5-2, 14.5, 6:30 NBC. Ole Miss and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is 2-6. Ole Miss is 6-1. 24.5 is a line. 6:30. Colorado and UCLA. UCLA is 23, and Colorado has faltered back to not being ranked. ABC 6:30. UCLA by 17. North Carolina and Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is 3-4. Meanwhile, North Carolina is 6-1 and 17th. 11.5 is the line. Old Dominion and James Madison. James Madison is 7-0. Old Dominion is 4-3. 7 p.m. ESPN. James Madison by 14. And the final game of the night, to wrap up the top 25, Oregon State and Arizona. 9:30 ESPN. Oregon State favored by 3 on the road. Last night, Thursday Night Football, we'll go through it quickly. It was the Bills who played the Buccaneers. Josh Allen looked better, leading the way for the Bills. In fact, they were up by 14. It took a long time for the Buccaneers to score a touchdown with about 2:45 to go. They finally scored. Went for two and made it. They had 3 timeouts left for the Buccaneers. On 2nd and 6, the Bills would get a first down with about 31 seconds to go in the game. But Baker Mayfield would get it back. He would throw a few quick outs to keep the time within. They would throw a deep ball to Chris Godwin, one of the best players for his career at the wide receiver position in today's game. For all players and all players a receiver, if he would have seen the ball properly, he probably would have caught it. But as it is, the Bills win 24-18. Bills are victorious. They are now... Bills advance to 5-3. The Bucs drop to 3-4. Now we'll go through Sunday's games on Sunday and preview more about Sunday's kickoff. This is Sam Vaughan for Sam Sports Report.